In this video, I am actually going to discuss what the best business model is for a residential zoned property. Is it short-term rentals? So that includes Airbnb, VRBO, any of these short-term rental platforms, and doing Airbnb out of your property? Or is it better to do residential assisted living or behavioral health within a residential setting? I'm gonna talk about the pros and cons for both business models really, and let you guys know what my thoughts are on all of it. So if you're interested, make sure to stick around. What is going on, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. If you're new here, my name is Serge. Welcome to the channel. To all my reoccurring viewers, thank you so much for all the love and support that each and every single one of you have shown me. If you have not yet, make sure to go check out the GodMade podcast on most streaming platforms. Also, feel free to go check out Legion Assisted Living Academy on Facebook. That group is free to join, so feel free to go do that. Also, make sure to go check out legionassistedlivingacademy.com, where I actually teach how to start your own residential assisted living from A to Z. And also, you can book a one-on-one mentorship call on legionassistedlivingacademy.com or in the link in the description of this video. And also feel free to go check out valleyalfventures.com if you're a limited partner looking to actually passively invest within this healthcare space and this niche. Feel free to go check us out. Also, if you are an operator looking to potentially sell your facility or actually expand your operations, feel free to go check us out at valleyalfventures.com. Also, if you or a loved one or someone you may know needs any type of placement in the Phoenix metro area, feel free to go check out valleyalfventures.com. We do provide that service as well. Again, that's in the Phoenix metro area. And now that all the housekeeping is done, let's go ahead and jump into the topic of this video. So I've been actually thinking about this quite often, just simply because I talk to a lot of individuals who are getting into real estate and they are either doing short-term rentals or they're looking to potentially do something in regards to residential assisted living or behavioral health or sober living, transitional housing, whatever the case may be. And I was thinking about this because I do talk to a lot of people, like I said, and one of the main things that I start seeing and kind of a trend I start seeing right now is the city municipalities starting to crack down on the zoning, right? They're starting to put even more regulations on short-term rentals, but also I kind of start seeing them cracking down on residential assisted livings. And even though residential assisted livings have been around for over 2 decades, and a lot of that regulation and stuff has been narrowed down and really kind of tightened up, there's still some city municipalities that are trying to limit these, right? And so one of the main things I start seeing right now, whether it be short-term rentals or residential assisted living, I'll start with short-term rentals. Short-term rentals right now, more and more cities are starting to limit how many short-term rentals can actually be within certain zip codes and certain zoning jurisdictions, right? They're limiting that, whereas before, even 2-3 years ago, there really wasn't a limit. And now a lot of city municipalities are starting to follow kind of what California cities, the more popular cities, are doing, where they're only allowing certain permits, a certain amount of permits per short-term rentals. Secondly, they're also increasing a lot of their fees, right? They're increasing the annual fees of having that permit and what's required. Then one of the third stipulations I'm starting to see with short-term rentals is also the fact that they're requiring any of the people who are listing these properties to actually be owner occupied. So they have to somehow live there at that property. And so that's more on the cities that are more strict with short-term rentals. That's what they're requiring. Not all of them are, but I could see things kind of going that way with a lot of city municipalities, which makes sense because I could see it where, you know, if the owner is actually there on site, they can manage a lot better. They can actually make sure that the guests aren't doing anything that they shouldn't be, and that the neighbors can easily talk to the owners to handle anything that may be going on. With that being said, though, another thing I'm starting to see with residential assisted livings is, for instance, I think it was a year or two ago, I want to say it was 2 years ago in 21, where the city of Mesa, which is just a metro part of Phoenix here, or not a metro part, but a sub area of Phoenix here, individuals go to renew their certificate of occupancy, let's say they buy a facility that's licensed for 10 beds, has the certificate of occupancy for 10 beds from the city of Mesa. Well, city of Mesa, as of right now, when a new owner comes to do a change of ownership on that license and that certificate of occupancy, they are no longer giving them the renewed certificate of occupancy for 10 individuals. So even though the house is big enough, it's been converted, so on and so forth, let's say it has 10 bedrooms and 6-7 bathrooms, well, they're only allowed to run it with 5 individuals there. Absolutely, destroying what the pro forma expectations would be, right? And so it absolutely eliminates what that property's potential is, which is a huge problem. And on top of that, that's creating even more of a shortage for the elderly and the seniors. And on top of that, a lot of people are going to stop going to Mesa to even have these facilities, right? So Mesa is going to lose a lot on its revenue there from, people paying their business taxes for that city. And so them eliminating that and only allowing it for 5 is really going to be a problem for the city of Mesa and for those owners there when they go to try to sell. Now, there is a loophole and a way to get around this, really, is if you assume that previous owner's entity for that business and you're not required to do a change of ownership because that certificate of occupancy will be tied to that entity. Now, that is if the owner actually created an entity, and a problem within this industry with residential assisted living is people do it as a sole proprietor. They put it on their actual names. So you can't really transfer someone's actual name with that certificate of occupancy. If they needed to, they would have to go and create an entity, right, and do a DBA. But with that being said, that's really the loophole there, and getting around that for anybody who's in the city of Mesa. My very first facility was actually in the city of Mesa, but that was in 2018. And again, I only ran a 5-bed out of that facility. I wasn't running a 10-bed. But things have changed now. They're preventing people from getting, if they're not assuming that previous entity, which comes with its own liability for the new owner. That's just something to keep in mind. And I would verify this stuff when you guys actually go and buy an existing business. And I really hope that you guys stick around for this part of the video, because I think this is absolutely crucial information. So why am I saying all of this, right? What are the differences between which one's the better business model? Well, short-term rentals, to be honest, because of all the crackdowns, because of all the neighborhoods, because of all the people filing complaints, because of city municipalities cracking down even more and making it even harder to run your short-term rental, with it being residentially zoned, they can really almost put you out of business. I know of individuals in Palm Springs who are just really struggling right now to break even. And that's on top of that, that's because of the economy. On top of that, it's because of all the strict regulations there in Palm Springs, all the different fees there, all the different stipulations, tax, the things that they tax you for, so on and so forth. But that's in Palm Springs, right? But that can eventually bleed into other cities. And I feel like with residential assisted living, like I said, because of the Fair Housing Act and because of the Disability Act, we are fortunate to, fight against this and be able to actually have associations willing to step up. Like I'm on the board of assisted living, Arizona Assisted Living Home Associations. And, we're going to step up and hopefully get a lobbyist to lobby for us for these specific things and be able to prevent any of this kind of coming down the pipeline. But it's, again, the business model really for residential assisted living is better simply because you don't have as high turnover. Secondly, you're able to convert these properties, add value, do kind of a forced appreciation on the properties themselves. Yes, is it more costly up front than maybe a short-term rental where you're probably just furnishing it? Yes, and maybe you're not having to do a ton of conversions. But then again, the NOI for a residential assisted living or any of these other licenses, behavioral, transitional housing, etc., is a lot higher than Airbnb. And I can speak from experience because I had my own short-term rental while still having my facility. And yes, even though my short-term rental would profit some months better than my facility. Again, this was a 5-bed, not a 10-bed. If I had a 10-bed, it would blow the short-term rental out of the water. But the turnover and just really you still incur expenses, right? Because you're having the cleaning fee, you're having the turnover, you're having supplies, etc. So you're kind of running a similar, like, not nearly as many expenses but your utilities are constantly, up, etc. because of the short-term rental. So they are very similar as far as what expenses came out to be. Now, yes, I'm in this space with residential assisted living and behavioral and all of this. And I obviously stuck with this and didn't go down the short-term rental route simply because I saw the potential was way better. With residential assisted living, you're covering a lot of different fundamentals when it comes from investing, because you're covering not only housing, but you're also covering healthcare, which people will prioritize healthcare all day, every day over traveling. People will make sure that their loved ones are being taken care of more than taking a vacation somewhere. So take that as you will. I mean, I think short-term rentals are great, but in the commercial space. So buying boutique hotels, buying things that the residential regulations won't affect the commercial aspect. So if you can buy something on a commercial lot, that's going to be a lot better for when it comes to short-term rentals. So with that being said, hopefully this gave you guys some insight on what my thoughts are and where I see things going in the near future, and the foresight that I think is there for both industries. Something to keep in mind. But like I said, I think the space of residential assisted living and behavioral and transitional housing is just, the demand there is just going to continue to increase more than people just wanting to travel, even though there will always be demand when people are traveling. That's a given. But as far as priority goes, people will prioritize their health and their loved ones' health and care more than they will for themselves and for leisure, essentially. So those are just my thoughts. I mean, you guys can let me know in the comment section what you guys think and what you guys are doing as far as real estate investing and what space you guys, or what route you guys are choosing to go down. But hopefully this provided some insight. And if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, if you want to learn how to start your own residential assisted living or your own facility, again, check out legionassistedlivingacademy.com, and you can check that in the link below. And also you can book a one-on-one mentorship call with myself. And with all that being said, I will talk to you all in the next one. God bless.